Alright, I am going to go to the garden and see what's going on, what I have there that I need to harvest. So I'm going to take you with me. It's early September and it's actually starting to, well, things were supposed to be dwindling down, but everything is nice and green. Look at all these flowers here. Everything is just green. Usually it's dry, but we've been getting so much rain lately that, you know, everything is just green and still producing. From raspberries, I have tons of raspberries that I need to get them off the plant. I have raspberries everywhere. I'm gonna have to freeze those. Tomatoes, tons of tomatoes. I have peppers here, and these plants I'm gonna take it out the ground and put it in a pot so I can overwinter them. Last year I did overwinter a few pepper plants and they did very well. I have some squash right here, butternut squash, and they're not quite ready, but this is what my garden looks like for now. I have some beans that I need to be harvested as we speak, so I'm gonna go ahead and harvest those. I also have some okras that I need to be harvesting. Nice size. And some more okras growing over here, and I have a few of them on there that I need to harvest also. These squash, these summer squash, I did plant them in late July. I sowed the seeds in late July, and so it's September now and I'm able to get another harvest of these. I don't want them too big. They're better when they're tender. So I will also harvest these. I have some more coming in there, tons of them. Look at this here. They're doing really well because they're getting the good rainwater. I also have some royal burgundy beans here that I'm going to harvest. This is what they look like. I'm going to go ahead and continue to harvest all these. I still have tons of habanero peppers that are going to ripen. So I'll leave these be. There's tons of them here. Actually, there's 2 of these pepper plants here, habanero peppers. And the flowers keep coming, the peppers keep coming, the bees keep pollinating, and so I'm gonna take this out the ground. I'm also gonna put it in a pot so I can overwinter it. I have some more butternut squash getting ready to be harvested. Not quite there yet, but I'm just gonna give it some time, as much time as it needs. And I'm gonna be harvesting these sometime in the fall. Right here I have a New England pumpkin, and it's not quite ready. I look at this tendril right here just to make sure that it's ready to be harvested, and this is not dried out yet, so that says to me that it's not ready to be harvested, because if I'm gonna store this pumpkin, then I would need for the tendril here to dry out first, and then I cure it for a couple weeks on the drying rack. These raspberry canes grew so tall, and that's because I have a peach tree right here, and this peach tree grew so much taller this year alone that the berries are actually reaching up for the sun. But they did pretty good. The spring and summer harvest was really good, and now it's gonna be fall, and there's a lot of berries on here that I'm gonna be getting from there. I am also gonna pull out a couple of these rutabagas. So I can make a meal tonight. I also have another New England pumpkin pie pumpkin growing right here, looking all nice, and a moringa squash growing right here. So the tendrils are not fully dried out, and so I'm gonna let them be. There's also one coming up right here, and I'm gonna let them stay in there and do their thing and get ready, and then when it is ready, I will actually harvest them. Oh gee, this is covering my peppers here. I have beautiful peppers growing here. Look at all this, and it's gonna get cold out. It already started getting cold out. New England weather. But yeah, this is what's going on in my garden. More peppers, looking beautiful. And believe it or not, this end of summer garden is looking way better than it was all summer because it's been so hot and we were getting no rain. It was just so dry everywhere. The drought hit us hard this year, and so these plants didn't even get a fair chance. It's like every year it's something, you know, but I can still say my garden has been successful because I did harvest a lot. I was able to harvest okras, peppers, tomatoes. I was able to can tomatoes. I harvested potatoes. I harvested raspberries, beans, summer squash, rutabagas. What else? Kohlrabi. I made pickled kohlrabi, and what else I did? Lettuce, cabbage, beets. I have some more beets growing over on the other side. Let me take you over to my beets. More beans that I need to harvest. I'll get to that in a sec, but I'm just going to take you to my beets over here. And this is what they look like. Look how huge this thing is. I have this variety here growing. Oh, the ants, look at that. The ants are getting in there because I'm pretty sure it's sweet. So they're eating away at just this one. And I'm gonna let them be and eat that one because I have enough. I have more than enough. I can use the leaves, and I can always leave these in a little longer because these will get sweeter as the temperature gets cooler, and they can handle the frost really well. So these beets will stay in there for a bit longer. I have my Swiss chard in this bed, and I also have some kale in this bed, and I'm gonna let it go for as long as it would. I have some rutabaga also in here. Look how big this one is. Look over here. So I do have some root crops that are doing really, really well. Look at this big one. They're all growing nicely, really nice in this cooler weather. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be all sweeter. You can also use the leaves as greens, use it as spinach. And, you know, I have my section here where the greens are. And it's because it's cooler here. The direct sun does not hit it. I have these trees up overhead, and they protect these greens from being burnt by the sun. I also have some spinach here, and this spinach is the purple Malabar spinach. I have to get a little trellising done here. I also have some on this bed in the back. I just threw them in there because it was a cooler spot for them, and they are doing well. I also have one over here, and this one gets a little more sun than the others that are in the back on that back bed. It's actually running along this fence in here. This right here is a pet squash, and if you notice the shape of it, there it is. And I planted these in the middle of July, and you know, this allowed me to have 2 harvests of squash, 2 harvests of cucumbers. I planted more cucumbers, and it's cooler now, so they are gonna provide me with some more cucumbers for the season. Here I have a big old kohlrabi. Look how huge this thing is. I can't wait to weigh it and see how much it weighs. But yeah, this is the giant white kohlrabi. So I still have a garden going, and it looks really well. I planted some beans back here, more cucumbers. I kind of threw everything in wherever. This was actually my potato bed, and after I harvested my potatoes, I decided to throw in some whatever I wanted else to plant so I can get a second harvest this season. This is a cucumber vine here. I am not sure which one this one is, but it's cucumber. And here I have some, I gotta spray these with some neem oil. This is actually cauliflower that is gonna do better in the cooler weather. These tomatoes here were, I don't know, I think it must have been the rain, but we had a couple days of constant rain, like twice in 2 weeks, like constant rain for a couple days at a time, and this is what happened to these tomatoes right here. I mean, the sun was so hot, and then the rain came, and after those couple days I came outside, and this is what I discovered. So it's always something with a garden. It's always something to adjust to or to, you know, deal with. But all you can do is plant your garden and hope for the best. And I am actually thinking of making some tomato vinegar. I have never tried it, but because this is so, look at this, all these tomatoes are gone, and I know I'm gonna have tons of volunteer tomato plants this year, even more than next year, even more than I had this year, because of all this tomato mayhem. Look at this, all my peppers did even fall off the plant, and that's from all the rain doing all that. But I still have some peppers here left, and a few of the trees. I have some ginger in here that I am gonna leave it till late fall, and then I'll see what it produced. But yeah, I can say this was a success. Every hindrance in the garden is something you learn from it, so it's still gaining for me. It's still rewarding for me because I learned something, even if it didn't go the way I planned. Look at all these peppers here. And I put some carrots in, so I am going to have this over the fall and winter. My garden beds are actually multi-use beds, and so I plant a little bit of everything, and it does thrive. I fertilize enough that they produce enough food for me to eat, for my family to enjoy, and for us to store a little bit up. to last us throughout the winter season and can get us, for the most part, get us to the next growing season. This right here was also a volunteer tomato, but look at this. Right, the rain did what it did, and that's the results of it, but I'm fine with that because I've had enough and I have enough. I'm still grateful for this experience. Still have peppers growing here. Flowers are coming out right here. And still I will have tons of butternut squash that I can store up. I can roast them. I can make soup with them. I could steam it, whatever I choose to do with it. So I'm grateful for everything that has happened in my garden. Okay, now in my back garden I have these Chinese cabbage growing. I still have my rosemary, my oregano, some lemongrass here growing in these pots. And my lemongrass, I am going to bring it inside for the winter, and also my rosemary. This rosemary plant, I've had it for 2 years, and I overwintered it inside. It struggled a bit, but it came back so strong. And so I think it's going to get stronger and stronger every year. It hasn't gone to seed, which is, I'm just curious about that, because I thought the second year it would go into seed, but it didn't. The stem is thicker, but no seed yet. I've been harvesting from it during the season, and so I am just going to wait and watch and see what it's going to do. Here I still have some cilantro growing. It's probably going to go to seed. It looks like it here. I have parsley, the curly one that I've been harvesting from, the flat leaf one. This one's going to go to seed. So I'm going to collect those seeds. And I do have some lemon thyme here that I'm going to overwinter. So if you see that I have it in a grow bag or in a planter, that means I'm going to overwinter it and see how far it goes. See how I can, take care of it during the winter time. Over here I have some broccoli growing. We'll see how that goes. I have some more beets here. This bed is full of beets. I have some more butternut squash on this trellis, and also some kohlrabi back here. This is the ragged jack kale, and this is some Swiss chard. I have this elderberry growing here. It's doing the most. It done took off. Look at it. I planted this earlier this year, and it's showing me who is the boss around here. And I have some peppermint growing here, and that's gonna go wild by next year. I have my bee balm and my lemon balm that I was able to harvest some from this year also. No, right here we have some cayenne pepper, and I do grow a lot of these because I like spicy food. I make my own pepper sauce. I have different varieties of hot sauce. Different varieties of peppers that I grow to make my hot sauce. And so I have tons of peppers. They are starting to ripen here some more. And I also do make pepper flakes to use while cooking. This one right here is a poblano pepper. I think my dog ran this one over, so it came off the tree. Now in between I have some sage growing, so when these pepper trees dies off, I would have literally a sage hedge right here. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sage plants here, and they're perennial, so they're gonna come back every year. Here I have some carrots that are doing well, and I also have some Egyptian walking onions. And so I know I planted them in the same bed, but they're doing fine. I'm gonna fertilize them and see how that does. I have more tomatoes coming in. I believe this one was a volunteer also. So I just let it grow. I think it's on the edge, so I don't even know where the base of this plant is, but I have a row of rosemary here. I have thyme in here. So basically this back garden has most of my herbs in it, because usually I would run out the back from the kitchen right there, and either if it's not in one of those planters on the deck, it's gonna be in my garden right here. And so I just run out the back and I grab a handful of herbs and go in and get it ready for my pot and my cooking, put it in my cooking. This is also some parsley here, some more thyme, some tomatoes, a little bit of everything. Well, a lot of everything, because it amounts to a lot when it's all said and done. I also did plant some peas. Hi, chickies. Say hi, chickies. And I have my pineapple growing in here, some stevia that I am gonna put inside, and some more pole beans here. There's flowers everywhere, more beans coming in, so that's more food for my family. And I do actually have some more peas growing on this trellis right here. They're starting to flower. They're coming in already. Look at that. I have to spray because these butterflies keep laying their eggs, even though they're beautiful. And so the caterpillars emerge and they chew on these leaves. I guess the caterpillars got to get their share too. But I don't like that too much. I share, but not too much. This right here is a purple kohlrabi I have growing. I have two different varieties of kohlrabi, and so it makes for good color in the kitchen when you're cooking. More beans coming in. I didn't manage to get enough beans to can this year, but that's okay. I still have beans that I canned out last year because I had an abundance of beans from my garden. And so I don't know what these vines will do, but I'll wait and see. And if it's a lot, if it's still in abundance, if it doesn't get too cold out, because once that frost comes in, it's going to kill those vines. Those beans cannot withstand the frost. Over here, I did put some of my strawberries in these bins because I'm thinking that I want to move the beds, the strawberry beds, and keep them growing in buckets. I did get tons of strawberry. I feel like I got too much strawberry. I have 2 beds of strawberries, and it's a lot of strawberries. A lot. I have some in the freezer, and we ate a lot of it too. And so I just feel like these 4 planters are gonna be enough strawberries for us. Here I have summer squash going, Costata romanesca, and I planted this on, I believe, around July 15. And I have already harvested, squash from them. See, they're coming. There's a lot that I'm gonna get from here, and since the weather is cooler, it thrives better. So I actually have 3 of these, 3 of this variety of summer squash. These are the ones I harvested earlier today. And so my growing season is still going. That's a good thing. In this planter here, I have, ooh, peppermint. Smells so good. I did harvest a lot of this earlier in the spring, and look at it now. I'm gonna harvest some more this fall. I had the hardest time this year with my watermelons because the sun was so hot. I know they need a lot of sun, but geez, I'm telling you, when I say I had a hard time, the chickens are probably gonna enjoy these. And this variety is a South Carolina gray watermelon, I believe it's called. I have 3 down that side I just showed you, and I do have one coming here too. I do have the black diamond variety in the front garden where I was just at, but I forgot to give you guys a peek of it. This, my friends, is a yard long beans, and I only have 2 on there. I struggled so much with this plant. I don't know what it was, if it's the heat, but this I'm gonna let it go to seed, and next year I'm gonna go to town. Okay, because I am not trying to buy seeds every year, the same thing over and over. And so I'm gonna save these, let they go to seed. If I have to cover it from the frost and allow it to come to maturity so I can get these seeds, you know, at the right time, so I can save them for planting next year, I will have to do that, and that's fine. I'm okay with not experiencing the taste of it just because I want to save the seeds so I can have more next year. I'm not greedy, so I'm gonna sacrifice tasting it this year. But this is the only one that actually had fruit. I had so much issues with this. Look at this. But I'm working with it. I'm spraying it with neem oil. I am fertilizing it, and so I'm grateful to have, if it's just 2 single pots, I'm grateful for that. But I'm happy that I was able to grow this with success. I call this success, even though it's just 2. Now this right here is my wing beans that I was growing in a pot, and I wanted to put it in a bigger pot, so I just took it out that pot and I sat it in this planter, but it's still on the trellis or on the cage, tomato cage. But my friends, it's flowering, so if need be, I'll just put it in the garage right here if it gets too cold and see how it does. If I only get 1 pot, that's success for me, and so I can save those seeds for next season and try to grow some more. But this is my wing bean plant. This is the farthest I've gotten as far as success in planting wing beans, so I'm excited and I'm monitoring it, I'm feeding it, I'm watching it, and hopefully there's just a lot of flowers coming out everywhere. Look at this here, flowers here, look at that. But I do want to keep it outside so the insects can get it to fertilize the flowers, and so I can have at least 1 pod. And this is another variety of hot pepper. This is a Thai hot pepper, and I am gonna let them ripen, some of them ripen on the plant, so I can make sure that the seed develops. This is another one right here, and so I can have mature seeds if I want to plant from seed. But I am definitely gonna overwinter these 2 plants, these 2 Thai hot pepper plants. This is one of my jalapeno plants that I overwintered from last year. So, and this is New England, this is Massachusetts, so if anyone tells you that you can't overwinter a pepper plant, here's the evidence. And I tried it for myself and it works, so nobody's gonna tell me different. And it produced, I already harvested a lot of jalapenos from this, and look at how much is on there now. All different stages, even the flowers are on there too. So this is my story of success for overwintering jalapenos. This one was also overwintered. Look how thick the stem is. So it's like you get a kickstart on your pepper plant. This is a bell pepper. I also overwintered, and I am gonna winter it again. Look at this, how thick it is. So I am into overwintering my peppers because I feel like peppers are kind of challenging for me to grow from seed every year because of how short the season is. See how many hot peppers I have? I have tons of it. I enjoy hot peppers. I like spicy food. I moved them from over this side because as the season got later, the sun was coming up, I would say much later, and it hits the front here really good. So I decided to move the grow bags and put them to the front so they can get enough sunlight. These are also some jalapenos that I overwintered from last year. See, it's thick. This is not a 1-year stem. And I am going to overwinter them again. And these were actually planted in a raised bed last year, but I pulled them out and I planted them in these grow bags so that way I can overwinter them. And this, my friends, is success. I'm going to overwinter this, overwinter that. I'm not sure. This one I am going to overwinter because it's the only variety I have in this pepper, and this is a hot Greek pepper that you get when you go to Olive Garden. You get that in your salad. So this is the only one that I have, so I'm going to overwinter this too. This is another variety I struggled with, and these seeds, I think this is this one and this one, and they're in bags, so you already know that we call it seasoning pepper in Grenada. I think they call it pimento pepper. It's a sweet pepper, very flavorful. But I am going to overwinter those. What is this one? I'm not even certain, but it's a pepper. So a lot of my peppers, I am going to overwinter them, and so I'll have a jump start on next year's growing season with these peppers. Here, my cantaloupe, I think this is struggled this year, like really bad. I didn't get anything from this vine. It was all dried. The vine borers were murdering it, but it's there. And if it doesn't do anything, I see a little one coming up in there, but if it doesn't do anything, then it'll go to the compost or to the chickens. This one, oh, it's starting to ripen. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize. I tied it in this organza bag because these squirrels, they would actually harvest your food for you. They would harvest all your food, my peppers, and they would take them off the plant and just let them be, and it would just go to waste. So I had to tie this in a bag, just like I had to do with my watermelon, my black diamond watermelon, which is over here. And it's a smaller variety of watermelon. This is what I was talking about earlier. So I have to secure it in an organza bag. There's another one somewhere in there between the beets, right there somewhere. And so maybe I will have a watermelon at least, or if I don't, then the chicken will get it, or it go to the compost. But this is just a volunteer tomato plant that came up, so I just let it be. It's so sweet. And this was not, this is the 3rd year, so I don't know, they're not splitting, so I'm gonna keep it. There's some on the ground, so I will let that come back again next year. The seeds would grow next year, and I will just let them be. Look at the seeds on here that I'm going to be able to save. I get excited when I can save seeds, and I don't have to keep purchasing, because it's, I mean, $3.29 a pack of seeds. That's a lot for seeds. And so I like to allow for my garden to grow till they create seeds, and harvest those seeds and put them up for the next growing season or for the future when I need them. My asparagus bed did well this year, and I am gonna my asparagus and everything else bed, I am gonna let it die off eventually, and so I'm gonna have better quality spears coming up next year. I've had them in there for 3 years actually, for 3 years, so this year was the best so far. I got a few good spears, and next year I know it's going to be better. This right here is also a volunteer tomato plant. It's the yellow pears or teardrop tomato. They're really sweet, and so this came up in here. I actually had, let me show you, this pear tree right here. I had this pear tree growing in, or trying to grow it in there, and it never took. I don't know what the issue was, but it never took. It kept rotting and rotting, like it would rot, and I clip it off, and it just didn't bounce back at all. And that was right here in this spot. I have 2 other pear trees growing, and they did really well, except I have to come up with a plan for the squirrels, and they're right here on my front lawn. I think it's so this one is a moon glow pear, and I forgot which one this was, but the few I got from these 2 pear trees that the squirrels left me with, they were really sweet, and so I wanted a Bosque variety to go with those 2, and it didn't come through for me, but I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna try it again. But like I was saying, this tomato here came up, and it has an abundance of tomatoes on it, and it came up here from compost that this is why I don't like to put tomato seeds in my compost heap, because this is all compost, and it carried with it that tomato tree that have all these tons of good tomatoes on it. It's a good variety I like, and so I'm gonna get more tomatoes, and they're doing fine, and I guess more seeds to store up. So I am still able to harvest some food from my garden, and as the season go along, the way it's going, I'm going to be getting more, and so it's good to have fresh organic food from your garden. It's gonna make me full and happy and healthy. It's gonna feed my family, and because my family's food is important to me, I have to make sure that I have a constant supply of a food source for all of us, so that we can continue to stay as healthy as we can. And I do take pride in being able to provide food for my family, to grow my own food, and to provide good quality food for my family. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next time right here on Fifi's Journey.